For thousands of years, religion has shaped civilizations. It has influenced kings. No religion has had a greater influence on the modern Western world than Christianity. Whether someone believes in its teachings or not, its impact on history is impossible to ignore. Many churches across Europe sit nearly empty. Cathedrals that once welcomed thousands every week now receive more tourists than worshippers. Religious affiliation has steadily declined across much of the Western world. In countries that were once overwhelmingly Christian, many people now identify with no religion at all. Yet something unexpected may be happening. Bible sales have increased in several Western countries. Church attendance has shown signs of stabilization in some communities. Young adults are increasingly discussing faith online. Some commentators believe Christianity may be entering a period of renewal. Others remain skeptical. But one question continues to grow. Could Christianity once again become a major cultural force? And if it does, what could that mean for Western economies? To answer that question, we first have to understand where Christianity came from. The story begins nearly 2,000 years ago. The Roman Empire dominated much of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. It possessed one of history's greatest military machines. Its roads connected continents. Its legal system influenced generations, but religion was deeply intertwined with politics. The emperor was not merely a ruler, he was often regarded as possessing divine authority. Into this world came a small religious movement centered around the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. His followers were few. Many faced persecution. Early Christians gathered secretly. They possessed no armies, no political influence, no wealth. Few could have imagined this movement would eventually transform the Western world. Everything changed during the 4th century. Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity. Decades later, Christianity became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. This decision would alter the course of European history forever. As Rome declined, the church remained. While governments collapsed, churches survived. Monasteries became centers of learning. Monks carefully copied ancient manuscripts. Without those efforts, much of classical knowledge might have disappeared. The church became one of Europe's few stable institutions. It preserved literacy, education, history, and administration. As kingdoms emerged across Europe, Christian rulers often worked closely with religious leaders. Churches crowned kings. Kings protected churches. This partnership shaped medieval society for centuries. Christian ideas also influenced the development of Western law. The belief that rulers were subject to moral standards higher than themselves gradually limited absolute political power. Many historians argue that this principle helped lay foundations for constitutional government. Church courts introduced legal procedures that influenced secular justice. Universities also emerged under Christian influence. Institutions such as Bologna, Oxford, Paris, and Cambridge developed within societies where the church played a central educational role. These schools became centers of philosophy, law, medicine, mathematics, and eventually scientific inquiry. Hospitals expanded through religious charities. Care for the poor became an organized responsibility. Monasteries distributed food, shelter, medical care. Long before modern welfare systems existed, Christian charity became one of Europe's largest social institutions. For centuries, religion and everyday life were inseparable. Faith influenced marriage, commerce, education, politics, and family life. Christian ethics also shaped ideas about contracts, honesty, property rights, and individual responsibility. Many economists argue these values encouraged commercial trust. Trust lowers transaction costs. Businesses flourish when agreements are honored. Markets depend upon confidence. Confidence depends upon institutions. And institutions depend upon shared social norms. For centuries, Christianity contributed to those norms. However, the Church was never without problems. Its enormous political influence also brought wealth, power, and corruption. The immense influence of the Church came with enormous responsibility. But history shows power often invites corruption. By the late Middle Ages, the Church had become one of Europe's largest landowners. It collected taxes, owned vast estates, and exercised significant political influence. Some bishops lived more like princes than pastors. Religious offices were sometimes sold. This practice became known as simony. Critics argued that spiritual leadership had become entangled with wealth. Perhaps the most controversial practice involved indulgences. Church officials taught that indulgences could reduce the temporal punishment for sin. While church doctrine was more nuanced than many believed, some preachers marketed indulgences in ways that appeared to promise spiritual benefits in exchange for money. To many Christians, this crossed a line. One German monk would become the face of a revolution, Martin Luther. In 1517, Luther challenged church practices by publishing his 95 Theses. His criticism spread rapidly thanks to one of history's newest technologies, the printing press. Ideas that once took years to travel across Europe now spread in weeks. The Reformation had begun. Western Christianity fractured. Catholics and Protestants increasingly followed different paths. The conflict reshaped Europe. It transformed politics, education, and economics. Many historians believe the Reformation encouraged literacy. If every believer was expected to read scripture, people first had to learn how to read. Schools expanded. Printing exploded. Books became more accessible. Knowledge spread more quickly than ever before. Some scholars also argue that Protestant culture influenced economic development. This idea became famous through the work of sociologist Max Weber. Weber proposed what became known as the Protestant work ethic. He argued that values such as discipline, hard work, saving, personal responsibility, and delayed gratification encouraged investment and long-term economic growth. Not every historian agrees with Weber's conclusions. Many economists argue that geography, natural resources, political stability, innovation, and legal institutions played even larger roles. But few dispute that religious beliefs helped shape cultural attitudes toward work and commerce. Over time, Western Europe experienced extraordinary economic transformation. Trade expanded, banks developed, international commerce flourished. Property rights became more secure. Entrepreneurs invested with increasing confidence. The Industrial Revolution accelerated these changes. Factories appeared across Britain. Railroads connected cities. Manufacturing transformed economies. Religious organizations often adapted alongside these changes. Churches established schools, hospitals, orphanages, charitable organizations. Many of today's largest nonprofit institutions trace their origins to Christian communities. Yet history also contains darker chapters. Religious institutions have sometimes failed to uphold the principles they preached. The Crusades remain controversial. The Inquisition continues to be debated. Religious persecution occurred across multiple Christian denominations. Power frequently produced abuses. These failures became part of Christianity's historical legacy. One of the most debated chapters concerns the Vatican during the Second World War. The actions of Pope Pius XII remain the subject of intense historical discussion. Some historians argue that the Vatican remained too silent while Nazi Germany carried out the Holocaust. They believe stronger public condemnation should have occurred. Others point to evidence that Catholic institutions sheltered thousands of Jewish refugees and that public confrontation may have provoked even greater retaliation. Recently opened Vatican archives continue to be studied by historians. The debate is ongoing. It illustrates an important lesson. History is rarely as simple as heroes and villains. Complex institutions often make difficult decisions under extraordinary circumstances. Understanding those events requires careful examination rather than simplistic conclusions. Following the Second World War, Western Europe entered a new era. Economic growth surged. Living standards improved dramatically. Governments expanded social welfare systems. Scientific progress accelerated. Yet something unexpected was happening. Church attendance gradually declined. In many countries, fewer people identified as practicing Christians. Religious vocations decreased. Traditional marriage rates began to fall. Birth rates declined. Many churches closed or merged due to shrinking congregations. Secular values became increasingly influential in public life. For some observers, these trends represented social progress, greater personal freedom, greater diversity, and stronger separation between religion and government. Others saw warning signs. They argued that declining religious participation weakened the institutions that once held communities together. Sociologists often describe these invisible connections as social capital. Social capital includes trust, volunteerism, community involvement, strong families, shared moral expectations, neighborhood cooperation. Many religious communities naturally generate these networks. People gather weekly, support one another, volunteer together, raise families, donate to charity, build relationships that often extend far beyond religious services. Economists increasingly recognize that trust itself has measurable economic value. Businesses function more efficiently when contracts are honored. Communities prosper when people cooperate. Investment increases where institutions are trusted. Low trust often produces higher costs. More regulation, more legal disputes, more bureaucracy, and slower economic growth. Could declining religious participation reduce some forms of social trust? Some researchers believe the relationship deserves serious study. Others caution against drawing direct conclusions. Countries such as Sweden, Denmark, and Norway maintain relatively secular populations while continuing to rank among the world's most prosperous and stable societies. Clearly, religion alone cannot explain economic success, nor can its decline alone explain economic challenges. Instead, economic development reflects a complex interaction of culture, education, technology, government, demographics, innovation, and institutions. Even so, the conversation continues. Could a renewed interest in Christianity strengthen families, increase volunteerism, encourage charitable giving, improve community engagement, and ultimately contribute to stronger economies? Or will future prosperity depend less on religious belief and more on technological innovation and effective public policy? These questions remain unanswered, but they are becoming increasingly relevant. Across Europe and North America, signs of renewed interest in Christianity have begun attracting attention. Young adults are purchasing more Bibles. Podcasts discussing faith attract millions of listeners. Some churches report growing attendance among younger generations seeking meaning in an increasingly uncertain world. Whether this represents a lasting revival or simply a temporary cultural shift, only time will tell. One thing, however, remains certain. For nearly 2,000 years, Christianity has shaped the Western world in profound ways. Its influence can be found in law, education, medicine, art, politics, economics, and countless institutions that continue to shape daily life. Understanding that history is essential, whether one approaches it through faith or through the study of civilization itself, because the future of the West may ultimately depend not only on economic policy, but also on the values that bind societies together.